3D projection mapping. Let's talk about it, as it can be a quite overwhelming topic with all the different projector views and audience angles and render cameras and what, where, why, how. Yeah, don't worry. I'm going to break it down as simple as I can for you. And before we start, let me just introduce myself really quick. My name is Marco. I'm a TouchDesigner developer. If you have work, shoot me a message. And yeah, I really like digital art, creative technologies, new media art, whatever you call all that nowadays. And of course, I really like projection mapping. That's why I did a lot of research on that topic to present it to you in this video tutorial. So what are we exactly doing? What can you expect? And also, what do you need? So first of all, we're going to create a virtual 3D model of your projection surface using Photogrammetry. After that, we'll clean that model a little bit and prepare it for TouchDesigner. And in TouchDesigner, the actual 3D mapping will happen. Meaning you will be able after that to render content from the perspective of the audience, which is also called the sweet spot, and then reproject it from your projector, even when it's standing somewhere else than the audience. So yeah, that the content still fits perfectly aligned on your surface. And in the end, I'm just going to show you some content creation examples. What do you all need? First of all, you need TouchDesigner. We will use the CamSchnappr tool from the palette, and of course a bunch of other operators. And then you need a camera. A smartphone camera will do. No need for any fancy DSLR camera. Maybe it's good when your smartphone is not like 15 or 20 years old, but yeah. Then we will use the free photogrammetry software, RealityCapture, which can create a 3D model out of the photos that we are going to take. Then we will use Blender quickly, which is also a free 3D modeling software. But don't worry, it's only short and you don't need any experience in it. We just use it to clean our mesh a little bit. And of course, you will need a projector. You don't need any fancy projector. Actually, it doesn't really matter what projector, for one exception that I will let you know. Because for learning, just get a projector that you can afford. I think I'm going to link some cheap projectors just down in the description. The only projectors that I don't recommend for 3D projection mapping are short throw projectors, because they can cause a lot of shadows because they are so close to the projection surface. I mean, for watching a movie in your home cinema, it's maybe good to have a short throw, but yeah, for 3D projection mapping, no. Okay. As a first step, we want to create a virtual 3D model of our object. You probably don't want to do that manually, except you're super skilled in 3D modeling. But I suppose you are not, at least I am not. So we use a method called photogrammetry. You will need to take a lot of photos from all angles and feed it into RealityCapture to recreate a fully textured model. For best results, your object has some texture, meaning it's not just blank white. Reflective or transparent materials like glass won't really work well. Ideally, you can take the photos in a stable and soft light conditions. Cloudy days are perfect for that. As I live in a pretty sunny place, luckily, I just took the photos in the morning in a shady spot on my balcony. Avoid hard sunlight, as it causes a lot of shadows that will be visible on your 3D object later. You can also capture it in an indoor environment. just try to soften the light as much as possible, for example, by bouncing it back from the walls or the ceiling. And most importantly, don't use your camera flash. Also, try to use a high aperture so the whole object is sharp and in focus. You can then just make a couple of circles around your object at different heights, and also go closer to capture details and make sure that you have every spot at least from 2 angles. Yeah, I ended up with around 180 photos here, but yeah, you can take more as well. Next step, you need to download RealityCapture. You can get it directly in the Epic Games Store and open it. And then we need to import our photos. I have it here. Open folder, and now it's going to import all your photos. You see I have 183. And then you just have to click Align Images. And depending on your laptop or computer, this may take a couple of minutes. All right, so here we are. Yeah, the Align Image step really tries to place all the images at the position and orientation where they were taken from to create a kind of point cloud out of it. Okay, don't get confused by the little bit weird user interface here. Just follow my steps. Next, you have to go to this tab here, Mesh Model. And now we need to set the reconstruction region. And once you click that, you can drag these handles here and just get them as close as possible to your point of interest. And make it really from all sides. Just be careful that you don't cut off anything that you need. And yeah, don't worry if you can't get off everything that you don't want. We will clean it up in Blender after that. So yeah, let me check. I think that's fine here. Oh, maybe here. You can also remove that because I don't want any of the surroundings in my 3D model. Once you set the area that you want to have the 3D model from, just go back here on the top left to workflow. And here under calculate model, yeah, you can choose different qualities. The normal quality is more than enough. So I'll just click that. And again, this can take some minutes here till the point cloud is turned into a proper 3D mesh. Okay, the processing is done and we have a 3D model here, which is not textured yet. We'll come to that in a little bit, but let's have a look first. Here on the left, you can see that we have a new component, that model 1, and it has more than 10 million triangles, which is of course way too large to work with. But we also have a simplify tool here inside RealityCapture. And if you click that, here on the left side, a new, I don't know, thingy goes open. And here you can set the target triangle count. So depending on your model, on the complexity and stuff, like I was experimenting with counts between 50,000 and 200,000. For this one here, I'm going to use 150,000. Make sure that the type is set to absolute here. And also that this parameter here, the border decimation, is set to keep border intact. Yeah, because we don't want to actually change the shape of our object. We just want to reduce the number of triangles. But yeah, still want to have the same shape. So when you have that both set, just hit simplify. And again, it's processing and we have to wait a little bit. Okay, this step is also finished. And as you see now here under the components, we have a new model with 150,000 triangles, which is, way better. Okay, now just click on texture here. Yeah, this will create a texture onto your model with all the correct colors and stuff. And once that step is also finished, we can export our model. So just hit export here as an OBJ. And let's create a new folder. I call this one raw, because this is the raw model for 150K. Save it. Let's have a look here. Export textures. Yes, we want to have the texture. Here you can also set the texture resolution, the maximum. Just leave it to standard here. And actually I will leave everything standard. Hit OK. And yeah, now we have it exported here. Also with our texture as a PNG. Now you can close the project here. If you want, you can also save it if you want to come back to that later. At 150K. All right. Now we don't need the Epic Games store here anymore. Let's open Blender. Yeah, it's also free. You can just Google it. You will find it in general, and then you can delete this cube here. And let's import an OBJ. Here it is. Just choose the OBJ. Okay, so it's, what's navigation again? Yeah, when you hold Shift and middle mouse button, you can move around like this. When you left click, you can like select, Shift, and only middle mouse button. You can just look around. Okay, so first thing I want to do is this thing is let's set this to 0 here, and I want to right click into the center of our model here. Here just choose the cursor and then left click to the center and go to Object, Set Origin, and Origin to 3D Cursor. And then you would just have to set all this here to 0, 0, and 0. And now we also have it here in the center. We need to switch to edit mode because we want to get rid of some unwanted geometry. For example, here I want to remove this kind of, I don't know, floor that's connected here. So you can either just with your left mouse button drag around, hit X and delete vertices to delete it. Or you can also activate the wireframe. Yeah, this will also get all the points behind the surface to delete it. And you can also make a different selection by just clicking C. And with the mouse wheel, you can now increase or decrease the size of this circle. And now you can just select everything that you want to remove here. So I'm just gonna do that. And then when you have your selection, you need to do to click the right mouse button, click X and delete vertices to remove all that. So yeah, I'm just gonna clean my model now here and fast forward it for you. Okay. This is good enough. It's not perfect, but yeah, that will do for our use case here. Of course, for like a professional project, I would maybe spend some more time cleaning it up properly. Now we have the problem that we have holes here. I would just like to close it. We can do that by going to edit mode, pressing the A button to select everything. We can then go to mesh, clean up, and fill holes. And then this small thing appears here, and you have to set it to 0. Otherwise it will not close the holes. And now, yeah, they are closed. Let's have a look. And yeah, we don't have any more holes here. But I've just seen, should have probably taken a little more photos around the fingers. As you see here, this is not quite right. So I'm just gonna hop back to edit mode quickly. Yeah, looks better than before. All right. Now we can save that as an OBJ again. So let's go to File, Export, and OBJ. Set the forward axis here to plus that Z. Let's check. We have to do anything in the settings here. Forward axis Z, up axis Y. That's correct. And oh yeah, maybe here just include selection only. We don't want to have the camera or the light. And export as OBJ. And we also want to export the texture. Again, we can go to UV editing for that. And image. And save as. Also in the same folder, clean model. Let's call it clean. And you can leave everything standard here, save as image. Let's have a look if it's really all in there. Clean model, we have our OBJ, and we have our texture here again. You can close Blender now. You don't, I mean, if you want, you can just save it, why not? In case you want to, I don't know, you find another small error or something, you can just save the Blender file and close it. Okay, now we can slowly come to the actual mapping part. So, gonna need TouchDesigner now. Just a quick heads up that I have more content on my YouTube channel about projection mapping, and especially on my Patreon, I also share workflows and project files. For example, like this one here for AI assisted content creation for any object, and also a bunch of other project files that I don't share anywhere else. I really appreciate every support that I can get so that I can also continue to create free videos like this one here. And now back to the video. So open your TouchDesigner, and we can then first import our model. So delete everything here. You can also close the palette for now, make it full screen. And yeah, you can just drag and drop the OBJ file and also the texture in here. So let's connect this first to a geometry and also create a foam material, set the texture as color map. Just drag and drop it on there, choose color map, and then drag and drop the material on the geometry. And voila, we have it now imported in TouchDesigner here. But I also saw the orientation is not 100% right, so let's add a transform here just to have it like properly, and we need to turn it on the y-axis -90 degree. So now it's like looking forward to us. That's what I want. Okay, and what we actually want to do now is we want to create a camera that represents the view from the audience, meaning the people who will watch your projection mapping. Yeah? For that, we just need the normal render setup first. So let's add a camera here. We also need a render top. And we need a light as well. Yeah, then we can, let's make it nice and neat here. You have to move your camera around, so you can either do that here by going to the camera and just translate it manually. That's what I like. Or you can also activate the viewer here, and with right click and drag, you can drag it around, and with the left click you can rotate it, but it gives a lot of funky values here, so I'm just gonna do it manually. Yeah, because the audience normally stands in front of your object, so just set it to where's the best spot to watch the projection from now. Let's also move the light a little bit so that it's in front, and just kind of gives a neutral light for now. Yeah, just give it like here. Okay, now you need to set either the resolution of your projector, which is, in my case, my projector has 1280 × 800 pixels. But if you have an educational or commercial license for TouchDesigner, I recommend to just multiply this by 2, because this will give you more details if we work on the texture itself later. But don't worry, for the free version, just set it to the resolution of your projector, and most important, of course, the aspect ratio. And also, let's tell this render here, because we will create some more renders. Let's tell this render that this is only rendering our geometry that we created, Geo1. Also, just create a null after that here, and let's call it render audience. And let's double check, is this, yeah, that's a good view from the audience. All right, next step, we want to reproject the view of the audience on our mesh. So let's actually move that up a little bit here. So yeah, you can just add the null here and then add a texture. And now we can choose our texture type here. And because we want to have it from the perspective of our audience camera, you can choose perspective from camera. And then you need to reference, where's the camera here? You need to reference the camera here. Actually, I just call it cam audience. And I'm going to drag and drop it in here. We also need to set the correct camera aspect ratio here. This is really important. Don't miss this step. The easiest is you can just choose the resolution here, this whole thing. Just drag it, hold it over here, and then drop it here and choose reference. So in case you change the resolution, it's always updated in here as well. don't miss this step. It's super important. Okay, so why do we even do that step? Yeah? Because we could also render the content that we're going to create later just from the perspective of the projectors, and we project it on our real world object and it would fit, yeah, no problem. But if we want to create content that plays with the perspective seen from the audience, the audience would have to stand right behind the projectors so that the perspective effects work. But most of the time, this is not possible. Yeah, you have to put the projectors somewhere on the side, or I don't know, on top of the audience. So yeah, this is why we do this step. So don't miss it. And maybe also just to show you what this operator is doing, you don't have to follow that step. I can just show you. When we add the material sub here and just create a constant material with the render audience view as a color map. And then you see what this operator is doing. So you see here on the back, this is all wrong, but we don't care because we only care about the view from the audience. Yeah. But anyways, we can delete that here. So let's actually just plug this into another null here and maybe call this mesh, I don't know, audience. So finally, we come to another very critical step, because now we will take this audience view here and bend it and calibrate it with the help of CamSchnappr, that it fits the perspective of our projectors. Yeah. So we take this here and work on it so that we can project it from our projector onto the object. So first, just connect this to a geometry comp here. And also just create a constant material already. And now let's add a select top. How is it? Select. And we want to use the audience render here. And let's call this here start effect. And let's already add two nulls. Call it effect 1 and effect 2. Then these two we connect to a switch and add another null, which we will call, I don't know, effect active. And this effect active will be the color map for our constant material. So just drag and drop it, and the material drag and drop it onto the geometry. So we are getting closer. We can now open the palette here with that little button here, open palette on the top left. And then under mapping, look for CamSchnappr and drop it in your network. You can close it again. We will also need another render. Make sure that we reference CamSchnappr here as a camera. So just drag and drop it. And also make sure that we only render this geometry here. So geometry geo 2. And you have to set the resolution to the same resolution like your projector. Okay, it's finally time to get the projector out. So I have my projector here. In case you're interested, this is NEC ME372W. And I got it used on eBay like 2 years ago for I think like 300 euro around. And yeah, I'm super happy with it. It's really bright. It has 3700 lumen. It's not full HD, but it doesn't really matter to me. For me, the brightness, I think the brightness is in general more important because if your projector is not bright enough, it's just gonna look super shit. Doesn't matter if your resolution is 4K, 8K, whatever. Okay, so now we need to position our projector, and I have this super handy projector mount here that I put together from a super clamp and a ball joint and some other joints. So it's like really super flexible. I can just fix my projector on everything. So I'm just gonna connect it now. And here I'm just gonna use this chair here. Of course, we need some some power. So here's the projector starting up now, and over here I have my sculpture. So now we want to position it in a way that it doesn't cause a lot of shadows. Yeah. So I mean, if you use one projector, there will always be shadows, especially when it's 3D sculpture with a lot of depth and stuff. And I have here even some hands in the front. So yeah, it will for sure cause some shadows. But yeah, you also want to try to get as much pixels as possible from your projector onto the sculpture. Yeah, so like if you have a zoom lens, so this is a little bit too big. You see, we would waste a lot of pixels. So I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit, but still make sure that the whole sculpture is covered by the projector. Then you can also set your focus as good as possible. That's okay for now. Okay, back to TouchDesigner. But one more thing that's important. If your projector has some kind of automatic calibration for like keystone correction or something, you have to reset all of that there. That's really important. Okay, so in TouchDesigner, CamSchnappr, it needs a mesh. So we need to reference the mesh audience here from before. And it also needs a color map. And for that, we're going to use the effect active here. Open the main window and make sure to save your project before. If your mesh is too big, it might crash, and then you have to reduce the number of triangles a little bit more. But yeah, as you see now, when I click it, it's going to take a little while. It's a pretty big mesh. And yeah, looks like this. And what's happening here now, we have to always choose now one point in our virtual model here. And after that, we have to choose that same point on our real world model. So, but we also need to open the output for that, of course. Oh, and we need to set the right monitor here. So the output monitor is in my case 1. And let's open it again. Yeah. Now I hope you also see that on the camera feed here. I try to have everything on display here. And now try to, with the middle mouse wheel, you can zoom in with the right mouse button, you can drag around, and with the left you can rotate. And I'm gonna start now, like try to really select some key points. Yeah, so we will start here with this point on a corner here. And with key points, I mean points that you can confidently find on the mesh again, on the real object again. So now we have this yellow fading thing here with the point 0, and I moved my mouse over now so that I am on my projector output, and now I have to move that point to the same point on the real world object. Then then I chose it on the virtual model. Yeah, you can also use the arrow keys to fine adjust it and really try to be precise here. So the first point I have, maybe the second one, I'm gonna choose here the other side of the cube, and with, well, here it also says with Control and left mouse button you can select a point, and I go over again and just drag it around till it fits the same point on my real world object. And I'm using my arrow keys to fine adjust the selection. Yeah, this step you have to do 6 times at least, I think. And yeah, I'm just gonna do that now. Also, always make sure that that you really have the right point selected here, because that wireframe is actually a bit confusing. Can we turn off wireframe? Oh, it's actually helpful. But yeah, here, if I increase the texture alpha, for me it's easier to select the correct points. So point number 3. So point number 5. I was scared for a second that TouchDesigner crashes, and now you see it's kind of starting to realize the correct mapping here, the CamSchnappr tool. Point number 5. Maybe you have to readjust the points just a little bit. Yeah, you can always go back to the points. So just Control and click again here. Now point number 5 is selected. And I'm just going to do some little fine adjustments here. Let's just double check all the points. I think I will try to add another point. Maybe this black dot here in the yellow circle. Yeah, if you have a closer look, I mean, now on the camera it's probably not so good to see, but yeah, it looks pretty lined up now already. And maybe I will just add one more spot, because as you can see here on this side, yeah, especially the green cube, it doesn't really match perfectly here. Also here the orange one, down here, yes, and also the rest, but maybe I put one point somewhere here. Let's see if we can fix it. Now you can actually close these windows here. This will not be our mapping overlay. So here close output, because this is now the adjusted, the calibrated view here. So maybe we can compare. This here is the projector view, and this here is the audience view. Make it a bit smaller. And yeah, this is actually just warped, you know, like calibrated. Like it was the same image. And as you see also here on the right side, we see the hands double here, but this is only the view from the projector. Yeah? If we see it from the front, from the sweet spot, from the audience, you will not see this part here. Right now we don't have an output. Where's the camera? Let's open it again. Yeah. We want to output that again. So let's just add a null here. We call this projector output. Projector output. Now we can create a window comp from here. We need to drag and drop the projector output. Oh yeah, and also is it the right? Yeah, it's the correct resolution. Make sure this render has the resolution of your projector. Drag and drop it on the as a window operator. Choose the monitor. Turn off borders. Always on top on. And open as separate window. And as you can see now, well, it's almost perfect. Like it's pretty good. But we have a little bit of, what to say, of overshoot. You see that here, but the rest looks pretty good. So maybe we can fix that with the stoner tool. Let's do that. So open the palette again, mapping, stoner. And this is also a good example now why you should use nulls. Yeah, if you would just have referenced the render as our, let me put it down here, as our window output, yeah, we would need to rearrange all that now. But now we can just do this and open the stoner window. We'll also open the camera here again. And what the stoner does, you can basically just warp the image based on a mesh. So you can also add a couple more rows and columns here. Let's say 8 and 8. And as we see, the area that we want to move just a tiny bit is here. So maybe we can try with these points here. You can just select some points, and with control you can select more points. And then I use my arrow keys again. And as you see here in the camera, it's a little bit hard to have it all on a display, but I think you can see it. When I move this now, see the difference? You can just move small areas now. And yeah, that fits pretty good. And here, these two can also go a tiny bit over. Okay, that will do. We can close the stoner window here. And yeah, this is now our final output. Okay, so our mapping setup is ready. That means, yeah, we can start to create content now. And everything that's rendered now from the audience camera here. Even if you save it and after that you move the projectors, it is still gonna work. You just have to redo that CamSchnappr step here again. But yeah, let's start maybe with a simple 3D effect. Yeah, we can just play around with virtual lights. So for that, we want to create a new geometry. So we're just gonna use this here, and we're also gonna drag and drop the same material here on it. And actually, let's collapse selected. And now we need a new render setup, at least a new render top, also a light. And let's split the view here, pane layout on top, go one level up because we need to use the same render resolution here. So I'm just going to drag and drop it. Render resolution is the reference, and it also says no camera no camera found. So we need to drag and drop the audience camera here. Okay. Oh yeah, and also let's just connect this to an out top already. Yeah, so we can connect this also to our switch here. Right, now we can close it. And let's play with the lights. Yeah, so now that we actually have a 3D model, one of the easy effects you can do is just play with the virtual lights. So if you move that light, or if you give it a different color here, it is actually affecting the 3D model, like someone would shine like a real light on it. So, and we can maybe let this light circle around. So for that, we can create a circle stop, and we can use this as a path stop here. We also need to reset the translate of the light so that it follows the path. And let me open the geometry viewer. So here's our circle. It's a bit small. I want it bigger, and I want it on the ZX plane. Maybe even a little bit more big. Yeah. Okay, now if we move the position here, yeah, you can see now the light is following the path of the circle. All right, and this we can also animate with abs time dot seconds times 0.3, and as you see now, it circles around our object. And we can also create a second light and just add plus 0.5 to the position. And now we have two lights which are on the opposite side of the circle. And let's change the color of the one light to something different. Red and blue always works good. And yeah, this is one very simple light effect. Just play with virtual lights. Let's close this here. Oh no, actually, just to show you, let's create another geometry. Let's create a box here. and plug it into a geometry comp. And make some space here. So now when you actually play with 3D objects from the audience view, this is not a crazy effect now, but just to let you know that you can play around now with 3D objects. So let's maybe rotate this here randomly. So create a noise, time slice off, and let's create 2-3 channels. And actually we can just use apps time .seconds for the rotation, maybe times 20. Maybe here times 15, and here times 10. And let me also make this a bit slower here. Makes me a bit nervous. All right. And let's also try to activate the shadows actually, because now that we have other objects here, it doesn't really work, the shadows. Why? Okay, I don't know why, but TouchDesigner doesn't want to create any shadows anymore. But yeah, that's all right. So, but anyways, you can create, of course, now 3D shapes, and if you move them around, yeah, the actual mapping, oops, you see the mapping is still correct, and it appears like the cube is floating on top of the sculpture. And I know, let's maybe create, we have some noise channels here. Let's maybe use these for scaling. And of course you could also use, or you could, I don't know, make it appear out of the structure. And of course you can also use different geometries here. Yeah, but Blender is, I mean, TouchDesigner is honestly for like 3D stuff not so good. So yeah, the 3D effects I would just make in any other 3D software like Blender. Yeah, you just have to render from the same camera here. I will actually have a look how to export the camera from TouchDesigner to Blender. Okay, so let's create another effect. Maybe, so let's switch here. You can create very effective effects with the edge top. I really like the edge top. Edge. No, not displace. Oh, but actually also we can use the displace as well. But first the edge. And like you see, it just creates outlines of all the edges. And let's create a noise here. And with that noise, we can plug it into the displace. And let's reduce the displace weight to 0.006 maybe. set the noise to not monochrome. Let's animate the z-axis with apps time, .seconds. And as you see, you get now this kind of morphing effect, which I really like. We could also based on an edge, create another effect. Let's switch over here to effect number 2 and insert a composite. And let's create a ramp here. Set the fixed layer to input 1. And I'll just choose any type here. And when we move now the face, you see we can animate all the outlines here as well. And maybe just give it a color. Like this. Let's animate the face. And yeah, just play around here with all the different settings. This one also looks cool. And you can use here the vertical for this kind of scanning effect. Horizontal, of course, almost the same. The radial one is animated also. Nice. And but you can also use a noise. Actually, we have a noise already. If you plug that noise into the comp as second input, yeah, we get a very colorful output here. All right. But yeah, this is really, you just have to get creative here and either in 3D or on a top basis here. And like you can see, I also got a little bit creative here, and I did this kind of particle system here, or not kind of, it is a particle system. And we also have a kind of like it's following this the movement of the mouse, and the particle system is restricted to the inside of our sculpture. And yeah, I think that's also a pretty cool effect. Yeah, we could make that audio reactive or something, and yeah, there's endless possibilities. So yeah, I will share the file with all the effects on my Patreon. Yeah, consider to support me there so that I can create more tutorials like this here. I also have videos on my channel about other kinds of projection mapping. Yeah, AI assisted projection mapping. I have some workflows that are pretty cool. You should check them out. And I also have a basic 2D workflow on my channel. So yeah, go and check it out. I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, see you next time.